Welcome once again to The Fire Within. I'm your host, Joel Young. I'm very excited this evening to visit friends. When I moved to the Valley, Okanagan Valley, about 7 years ago, all I heard about was bliss. Bliss was a word that would suggest happiness, but that wasn't what it was suggested to me. Bliss was coffee, bakery, bistro down in Peachland, and I was asked so many times if I've ever tasted Bliss coffee. Lo and behold, 7 years later, I'm sitting in the room with the founders, Darcy and Barry Yeo. Yo. And they've come a long way in 7 years since I've been here. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Enjoy it. First thing I want to ask the two of you, and I'm cheating a little bit because I know a teeny tiny little bit of your story, but I want to ask for our viewers, can you share with us the road you've traveled from the West Coast where both of you came to bring you to the Okanagan to begin your entrepreneurial venture?
Absolutely, yeah.
Go ahead and start. I'm sure I'll jump in.
So we were both working in the high-tech industry in Vancouver and had one of those moments I think that a lot of people go through where we realized we thought we were on the path we wanted to be and realized that we needed a change. And so we set about discovering our bliss, and we didn't know what that was going to be, and we looked at changing jobs, changing countries,
Possibly going to university.
going back to school,
become architects.
all those
We
kinds
looked
of things.
Everything. About a year of soul searching.
But we knew whatever it was going to be, it was going to be to follow our bliss. And we came to Kelowna with the original idea of opening up a dessert shop, because there's really nothing here.
That's right. Still.
At the time.
9 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and we couldn't find a location in Kelowna that sang to us, that connected with us. And a friend of ours who lives here said, "Don't worry about it. We're going to go for dinner at the Guest House down in Peachland and stop and see my parents who live there for a glass of wine." And I'll never forget standing on their patio with a glass of wine, looking out at the lake in their beautiful view and going, "This is it. This is where I want to be. This is where I feel like I've connected to this
That was
place."
the picture that we had drawn for each other.
Then we
Yes,
didn't,
yeah.
didn't know until we saw it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on our way down to dinner at the Guest House, there happened to be an open construction lot with a blue construction fence and one of those artist renderings of the building that was coming.
For heaven's sakes.
And
So
everything just kind of fell into place.
Obviously, that's before I moved here, because when I did move here, you were already operational, right?
We were the first thing open in that building.
Yeah,
actually.
we were the first thing open in the gateway in
You just
Peachland.
said a moment ago, how long? Like 9 years you've been down?
It'll be 9 years in June, but we
9 years,
started the
okay.
construction in January, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, so 9 years.
So this is the
forever,
9-year
And
anniversary.
August of this year would be 7 years.
June of this year.
No, but for me, August.
Oh,
see.
okay.
When we
Yeah.
moved to August of 2006.
There you go.
It seems like a lot longer than that, but 2006. And now, you've come, as the phrase goes, you've come a long way, baby, because from one location in Peachland, you're sitting with us tonight, and you've got 3 locations.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of growth. Well, the business itself, I wouldn't say it grew of its own volition, but it was definitely more, when we opened the doors, it was a much grander location and store than we had originally envisioned. And we discovered that the business was very successful right off the bat, and it makes you hungry to grow it and see what you can do with it.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
We grew the business a lot.
When we moved up, the idea was it was going to be Barry and I, and it would be a small little shop, and we'd have maybe 2 or 3 staff members, and it would be that village bakery kind of feel. We were trying to step out of that, the intensity that we had down on the coast. And it didn't last for very long.
No, we discovered our entrepreneurial spirit. And,
Why? What made you move from information technology specifically into coffee, baked goods, and the bistro format?
Yeah, for me, I'd say there's 2 reasons. I asked myself, in 100 years, who's going to care what I'm doing in software? Because the industry changes weekly.
Yeah.
Daily, hourly.
And I was doing, we were working for the same company, not where we met, but we were working for the same company, and I was traveling all over North America, down to New Zealand, and doing installations with the software.
Okay.
It was really, living the dream, so to speak, in Vancouver. But in 100 years,
in that
who's
industry,
going to care? Yeah.
Yeah.
And So for me, part of the soul searching was, well, what do I have in my past? What does Darcy have in her past? What do I have in my past that I can bring forward in something that we can do together? And before I was in high tech, I was a baker for years. This is actually the third bakery that I've owned.
Barry's actually a master baker. He's a Red Seal certified master
okay,
baker.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I had the
Boy, what a difference, eh, from being a master baker to working in the high-tech world, eh?
It is.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and you probably know this, is a lot of
Yes, I
entrepreneurs
do.
go through a lot of career changes in their
Yes,
life.
they
My
do.
father
Yeah.
is a great example of that. Started as a heavy engineer, had a buns master, and
Oh,
He's
yeah.
done all
Japan,
kinds of
all
things.
kinds of things.
Barry
Yeah.
comes by it honestly.
Yeah.
I've been,
dragged.
I
kicking
don't know,
as well.
dragged is strong. I've never,
Nudged, kicking and
I've
screaming.
never been entrepreneur. I've always been more corporate. But with the business, you can see you see these opportunities
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
want to go after them. And I think a friend of ours was commenting on the fact that the biggest problem entrepreneurs have is that they're always seeing all these opportunities, and it's hard to focus. And
Well, that's true. One of my favorite lines, which is not an original thinking on my part, is an entrepreneur looks at the world and thinks differently. And an entrepreneur is always looking for solutions where the rest of the world's looking at problems. And, so that whole creative, innovative spirit is constant. You're always looking for the change. How can I make a difference in my change? Read my column it's out tomorrow, because I write on a particular female entrepreneur who started her business at 61 years of age, and for seniors, and she spent her entire life searching for what she feels is her purpose in life. She now feels she found it.
That's awesome. And that's fantastic. And I think that's
Yeah.
what, being entrepreneurial really allows you to do.
Yeah.
Because I think if you follow the path that everybody else thinks that you should do, you don't find success. It's by going and finding new paths.
Do you find that, I already know, but I'm going to ask, I don't know the answer to my question, but I'm going to ask, I know a little bit. Do you find that through the formation of some of the partnerships that you currently have undertaken, such as your coffee partner, for example, and any other of those kinds of partnerships that I may not be aware of, have helped guide you through this,
Oh,
this
absolutely.
formation?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Cherry Hill is our partner for coffee and beverages,
okay.
and
Since before we started.
They are fantastic.
Oh, since before you started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we contacted them because we knew we wanted to do organic. We knew we wanted locally roasted. We knew that we
Okay.
wanted fair trade, and there's not a lot of people.
And they already had a really good name for themselves.
Yeah, they were
And,
well respected.
Yeah.
Darcy and Dave, the owner at Cherry Hill, hit it off very well.
Yeah.
And they've worked with us at every step of the way.
They've been
and
awesome.
They've been awesome. So
Yeah.
anything to do with coffee, tea, or machines has always been through
Machines, yeah,
Cherry Hill.
yeah.
And it's funny because coffee, when we opened, we felt, okay, we should have coffee. It's a necessary evil. It'll be part of
Not
the
evil,
ambiance.
but-
Not an evil, but it's a necessary part of what we should do in here. But it probably won't be a major part of the business.
Yeah.
And
It's a huge part
it's
of
a
the
huge
business.
part of the
It's
business.
massive.
It's a third of our business. And
People see us. It's funny because people see us as a business. It's either let's go to the coffee shop, or they see
That's
us
right.
as a
That's
lunch
exactly right.
place, or they
Yes.
see us
Yep.
as a bakery. And so, because we occupy a number of different niches within the
Yes,
market,
yes.
people think of us in different ways.
Yes, they
But
do.
Cherry Hill's-
Myself included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cherry Hill has just been amazing, and have definitely, you find mentors or people who have the same outlook as you and can help guide you, who you can bounce ideas off of. And I think that's really critical to success.
How did it come about, you moving from your base operation in Peachland to your kitchen and, as I know, your catering department in West Kelowna, and now your second bistro, a smaller version, but nevertheless a bakery bistro, 2 minutes from where we're sitting tonight on Ellis Street in Kelowna? Maybe you can give our viewers a bit of a background on that evolution.
That's a path that we probably set for ourselves probably 4 or 5 years ago. We, in all honesty, I think we outgrew the production space in Peachland about 4 years ago.
Yep.
We actually had we stole some of our seating area, closed it off, so because our bistro and our catering was growing so much that we needed additional production space. They needed a dedicated space. And so we started talking about the idea of another location. And it wasn't actually Ellis Street at the time. We were thinking of somewhere else in town, but we wanted another location. Our thought was, okay, let's split production, maybe bistro here, baking here. And last year when we opened the kitchen and the Ellis location, earlier in that year, we decided, you know, with the growth that we're looking at, what we really need is we need a central kitchen in order to make this work. And we need to move production out of Peachland and then distribute from there.
Yep.
And so that's how that process evolved. It also has set us up if we were to want to open more locations, or more likely what's happening right now is we're getting more and more catering. We have the room and we're able to handle it.
I was going to ask you that. How did the catering part come about, please?
People kept asking for it. When we
Oh,
opened, it was supposed to just be a bakery and coffee shop, but
Yeah.
then people were asking for sandwiches. And so we started doing sandwiches on our bread, of course, and we were getting meat from a local butcher, which was very nice, so not your typical sandwich meat. But then as that grew and the demand grew, we started roasting all of our own meats, making all our own sauces, making all our own salads.
Putting soup into the mix, adding salads.
Yeah.
And,
I think that something that maybe has gotten lost as well within the conversation is that when we opened with a purpose and a vision. We wanted to create a place with food that wasn't chemicalized, that wasn't processed. I think that a lot of people don't realize how processed their food is. I think there's
I
more
agree.
awareness
I agree.
now,
Yeah.
but 9 years ago, people were really not aware of things like hydrogenated oils and the impact that it had. So we were really dedicated to that. So everything that we do from scratch. We do in-house, including roasting meats for sandwiches.
Making all the sauces,
I think as you've just got finished saying, Darcy, I think really not that long ago, people really didn't care. But now, as time has marched on, people are seemingly more health conscious and more concerned about what they put into their bodies, and I think it's...
Well, it's shocking what...
It is.
If people knew what happens with their food, and you think you're getting this whole
That's right.
natural food, and
Yeah.
the processing that goes on behind it.
Oh,
So
yes,
I think that's what happened as far as the sandwiches were concerned. We were making fantastic sandwiches. We put almost twice as much meat on as you would get elsewhere. It's on fresh baked bread. So people started asking for it if we would do
Okay.
catering.
Okay.
And
so we started doing small catering, and
then we started in with this. We got
the
the
school board is our
board.
largest
Oh.
client. But that was by accident.
Yeah.
We had they had a food fair that because the schools about 6-7 years ago were on a real kick to get rid of junk food out of the schools.
Yes,
Probably remember
yes,
that.
yes.
Pop machines,
Yep.
these sort of things. So they invited a lot of different vendors, companies like Dairyland and Bliss Bakery, and
Yep.
a lot of big companies to go to this fair essentially, and then they were going to have their buyers and all their various people within the organization to check out the foods to rebuild their meal plans.
Yep.
But it was for the kids.
Yeah.
And through that process, we did supply a couple of schools occasionally here and there, but that wasn't really a fit. I mean, if
we're
you've
not
seen our
really
sandwiches,
kid.
yeah, a 4-year-old has no
Oriented.
interest in a
Yes.
massive roast beef sandwich that we do. But the teachers and the administrative
Yes,
staff, they
yes.
loved it. And this was at their education center over on Hollywood Road. So a couple schools started ordering, and the education center started ordering for a few sessions. And as more and more of the teachers tried it and the principals tried it, it just grew. And for us, it's fantastic because in the summertime when we're really busy in Peachland, and that's our focus, well, school's closed.
Yep.
So they really don't order very much. During the wintertime, when we're a little bit slower in our locations, that's when they really get rolling, Pro D days and just training sessions all the time.
Yes, of course they do, yeah.
So that really, from that, we've grown to a number of other clients, but the school board is definitely the largest one at this point.
And you mentioned Hollywood Road. It never ceases to, I've been there many times over the last 7 years since I've been here for meetings myself.
Yeah.
But it never ceases to amaze me when I drive down Hollywood Road and see the abundance of vehicles around that particular
Yeah.
facility. It's amazing.
Yeah.
People don't even realize that center exists.
That's right.
A lot of people aren't
They don't
aware
realize
that
what
it's
it
there.
is.
Yeah.
They think maybe school.
Well, it kind of looks, yeah, it's built along the same lines.
Sure it is,
but it's-
absolutely, yeah.
What's the reuse of a school? I think. So
What?
It's,
What do you see as your competition, if I may use that dirty word?
No, competition's great.
Yeah, but what do you see as your competition in the Central Okanagan particularly?
We actually see it growing. And when we moved up here and started building Bliss,
Yep.
we looked at the competition. We looked at the Starbucks and the Tim Hortons
Yes.
and the local bakeries and so forth, and recognized that we're not looking to compete against Tim Hortons or Starbucks. They have a niche market.
That's
Who
right.
we are is an artisan bakery, and at the time when we built the place, we're an artisan bakery, and we have cappuccino bar, and that's who we are. But as we've grown, I think that we were a little bit ahead of the trend, but
We're definitely seeing new
more
competitors.
And more,
Yes.
Yeah, more and more competitors entering the market. You've got companies like Bread Company, for example, on Bernard, fantastic.
Fezziwigs.
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 Fezziwigs. I was going to say,
Yeah.
Bean Scene does
Bean Scene,
does
yeah.
beautiful coffee.
Yeah.
I know they're really dedicated to producing the food that they do, and they
Yeah.
do a lot of different
Quality
alternative
product.
foods.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do,
From
yeah.
a coffee perspective,
Yeah.
Geo Bean is very dedicated in the marketplace to producing a great cup of coffee.
Yep.
And it's great. And Okanagan Grocer does.
Fantastic breads.
We actually went by there and picked up a loaf of bread from
Yeah.
there the other night
Oh,
for dinner.
yeah, yeah.
They do a slightly different style than we do, and so
Coffee.
Okanagan Grocer does
No.
breads.
No, I know who you're talking about. I've been there myself. You were referring to coffee or the breads?
breads.
From a bread's
I'm
perspective.
sorry, I beg your pardon.
And that's okay, because we take up, as I said, because we do operate in different niches, whether
Yep.
it's from a catering perspective or the coffee perspective, or whether you're looking at breads. So there's a number of different people that we compete against, but I think that all of these different competitors, as the Okanagan grows and Kelowna grows, they're building this awareness of food. They're building an awareness of it's more than just picking up a gas station sandwich and a cup of coffee.
Or a chocolate donut.
Yeah, or a chocolate donut.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, well, yes, they're competitors. There's also a like-mindedness within the market that keeps the market growing and keeps educating the market,
Well,
which is awesome.
I think you'll both agree it's healthy. It's healthy competition when the consumer has those varieties to choose from.
Absolutely.
And then the onus, of course, is on people, entrepreneurs like yourselves, to for want of a better term, to excel, so that you draw an attraction to the consumer. Come try me out. Come try me.
Competition causes you to up your game.
Sure it does.
I mean, we've seen,
Yeah.
just in the 9 years we've been here, we've seen big changes in our industry. I mean, coffee houses 10 years ago, 90% coffee, 10% food.
Yes.
And as I mentioned earlier, coffee is about a third of our business. It's a big part of our business,
Yes.
but a third of it is baking, and about a third of it is what we call bistro, the sandwiches
Yes.
and soups.
Yep.
So it's real interesting, and that we are seeing as a growing trend in coffee shops. People are going there and they're buying a $5 latte. They have no problem spending money for quality food as well.
Yep.
And so that's definitely a growth area. And just in Kelowna and the Okanagan, one of the big changes I've seen in the restaurant industry is it's really grown up. Everywhere we came up here, everywhere you turn, there was a steakhouse. Great, there were a lot of great
Yes.
steakhouses,
Yes, yes.
but that was it.
Yes.
And there was one ethnic restaurant in the West Side. We live in the West Side, and now
It's changed.
Oh my
it's
gosh,
great. It's great.
changed.
There's so much variety out
Well,
there. So many different options.
I live in West Kelowna, and I think we've got about a half a dozen Asian restaurants.
And there was none.
Yeah, everywhere I look
nothing,
is an
yeah.
Asian restaurant.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Again, it's competition, but it's
yeah.
people, instead of going to Kelowna necessarily to go out for dinner, now they have choice in the West Side.
That's right.
A really good choice.
Yeah.
And we see that in Kelowna as well.
And
so,
more to come. So I'm hearing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be getting more and more restaurants in West Kelowna.
Well, Kelowna's such an area, people want to live here. I mean, why wouldn't you? You come over that hill and the
Yeah.
lakes in front of you and the mountains, and there's so much to do. It doesn't matter whether it's 10 below outside or whether
right.
it's 30 above. There's always stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so as people move here, we're going to start seeing more diversity, more variety, and I think that's great. And I think most people would agree the Okanagan can be a challenging place to find a good paying job. And so I think it
Yeah.
attracts entrepreneurs who are looking for that niche within the marketplace so they can afford to live here.
Well, you just touched on something that, and I'll come back to it real quickly. You just touched on something that's been gnawing at me since the 7 years I've lived here. I've been to so many meetings in the economic development world, industrial economic development world, that always zeroed in on the employers saying to the public, we can't afford to pay our staff what's reasonable. Not what they want, not what the employees want, but what's considered reasonable, if you will. Because so many young people have come from the prairies, for example, with this dream of adventure, and because of the apparent quality of life here, and they come, and they need 2 jobs.
Yeah.
They need 2 jobs to put gas in the car, and maybe some food on the table, and maybe share in the cost of accommodation.
Or heaven forbid, someday own their own place.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, heaven forbid. Yeah, that's right, because I found that quite amazing. I've been to meetings where I sat publicly, listened to fairly large employers saying, we just can't afford to pay.
And it's true. I mean, I think that there's definitely right now there's a tendency to look at corporations as having, an abundance of money and being able that they should be paying more. And I think that within the economy here, what you're really looking at are small businesses.
Yep.
For a great deal of the time, you're looking at small businesses, family businesses that don't have the resources of the large corporations. And people want to pay less and pay less and pay less for things. However, the costs continue to rise, and so there's that real disparity there.
Oh, there is, absolutely.
And I know we were having a discussion. I think it takes 2 full-time incomes at $18 an hour.
Something like that.
To
It's a study that was out.
just
a
to
break even, so to
break
speak.
even, so
Yeah.
to speak, to live in the Okanagan.
Yeah, for a
And
family of mom and dad and 2 kids essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was even owning. That was renting. But yeah,
Yeah.
to have that bare minimum 2 full-time incomes at $18, and a lot of people are nowhere near that.
That's
And
right.
as an employer, I'd love to be able to pay at that kind of level, but unfortunately, it's not the type of industry we're in, and that's a
No.
lot of the industries that are here. They're small
A lot of restaurants.
restaurants
Yeah.
and that kind
Yeah,
of
you
stuff
do
where
what
your
you-
margins
you-
are
you-
skinny.
Well, you do what you can.
Yeah, you
And
do.
what makes sense, because at the end of the day, you're entrepreneurs in business. You're in business to succeed. Period.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I want to take care of my staff. I want them
Yeah.
to know that they're part of that team and they're
Yeah.
making it happen.
Yeah.
They're the people
Yeah.
who are
That's right,
interacting
exactly.
with our customers, and they are Bliss.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
you try and find ways to take care of them.
And building the culture has definitely been the biggest
Yeah.
biggest thing. We started out in Peachland, and we've carried it to the different locations. So we have a lot of staff that love the culture and
Yeah.
the people they work with, and it shows. That's why places like Peachland, our Peachland location, are so popular. People love to come in. They love the feeling in the shop.
The energy.
Well, the Bliss in Peachland's a destination.
Yeah.
People go to Bliss Peachland.
I love here. I get stories from people. I was at a community meeting a couple of weeks ago, and they had a couple that were there had been stuck in the LA airport. Their flights had been
Yeah.
canceled,
Oh, yeah.
and they were talking to somebody who was off going somewhere else. Where are you from? Oh, Peachland. Oh, I've been to Peachland. Oh, there's this great coffee shop, bakery down on the corner. I'm like, I've heard that kind of
testimonial,
story
yeah.
from
I know.
Our
I
friends
know.
in Hong Kong, same thing.
Hong Kong.
Oh, you're
they
kidding
ran
me.
it
Is that right?
They were at a party
That's
and-
beautiful.
Yeah.
I'd like you to describe for our viewers your choice of the word kitchen.
Oh,
Okay, because our viewers don't know. And,
So-
and they don't know what they don't know. I
course.
know, but they don't know. So maybe you could explain to our viewers.
kitchen.
So our
the-
bakery kitchen,
Yes.
our commissary is a term that some
Okay.
people would probably
That sounds
understand.
too sterile.
It's very sterile.
Yeah.
We call it the kitchen because it actually has its own name. It's Bake Naked Kitchens.
Yes.
And this has been an inside joke in Bliss for years because
Yeah.
we bake naked,
Yeah.
meaning no junk, no hydrogenated oils, no preservatives. It's naked, clean cooking. And so when we decided to open the kitchen, we wanted to keep it as its own entity, that just opens up opportunities, different opportunities.
Yep.
We're entrepreneurs. Who knows what's going to happen 5 years from now? So the name came out. Let's call it Bake Naked Kitchens. So it's got its own logo, its own name, and we always refer to it as the kitchen or as BNK, Bake Naked Kitchens.
And from a perspective of what it is, we were in a very small production environment down in Peachland on Beach, and we had thought that it would be a small village bakery, doing very small production. And as it grew and we started doing, catering orders for 300, 400, 500, it just couldn't handle it anymore.
Yes. Stressful.
And just refrigeration needs alone were overwhelming. It was crazy. And we decided that we needed to build a proper facility, proper kitchen, where we weren't actually crawling over top of one another and icing things on top of microwaves. It was, and so we've built a proper production kitchen. It's 3,000 square feet, so it's
huge.
Massive.
Yeah.
We've got our baking line. We have a hot line. And then we have something very special. We have a completely enclosed bistro room that's temperature controlled so that even on the hottest day, they can have meats out and cheeses out and not have to worry about the heat and the impact that has on the food. Our health inspector
And that's
loves
mostly used.
it.
That's mostly used for your catering.
That's correct.
Catering,
yeah,
sandwich
and then
making.
sandwiches
Catering,
for the
sandwich
stores.
making,
And
And then we've got a small retail area there,
Yes.
takeaway.
At the front, yeah.
At the front there,
Bliss
yeah.
to go.
Bliss to go. Yeah, our original cappuccino machine is in there actually,
Okay.
and just a smaller version
Yeah.
of our Bliss stores.
Yeah.
And as a result of the bigger space, we've also moved our offices there. Darcy finally has a real office. In Peachland, she literally had a closet as her office space.
It was 3 foot by 4 foot.
Yeah.
I'd like to close our visit off by asking the two of you about what do you see for the future of the Bliss brand in the Okanagan region? What is tomorrow going to bring for Darcy and Barry?
We're at this, I don't know if I'd call it a crossroads, but it's one of those moments where we need to make a decision about what the next step is. And I know we've talked about looking for an additional location. And of course, you have to have the right location. That's what it's all about, especially for our brand. So finding that right fit. Growing the catering side. We're seeing a lot of lunch and learns and office catering and really developing that side of the business.
And that potential still exists?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
And there's
good.
also been talk about potentially partnering with a similar type of business. Complementary
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
and opening applications. So there's a lot of discussion going on, and I have this idea about doing online sales. We do a lot of Okanagan focused, wine focused, fruit focused.
A chocolate cherry pudding, good example. Christmas time.
Yes, from products from here
Yeah.
that I really believe, based on the feedback that we've got, would be accessible and in demand all over the place. And the internet gives us the opportunity to do that. And so that's another area that we've been discussing pursuing. And we haven't reached a decision about what we're going to go after.
Yeah, is it 2 out of 4, 1 out of 4? Lots of opportunities.
May I feedback what I think I heard you just say, Darcy? Because I think it makes some sense, if I'm interpreting it correctly, creating some novel, innovative products from the agricultural sector within the Okanagan and hold them up as unique products and market them outside of the region? Did I hear you
Absolutely,
correctly?
yeah. So for example, Barry mentioned the chocolate cherry pudding that we do at Christmas time.
Oh, okay.
We take local cherries and then we soak them in a local wine producer,
okay.
usually a
Yeah.
Cab Merlot or something that's got some real richness to
Yes,
it.
yeah.
And then that goes into the chocolate cherry pudding. It makes it resoundingly unique to our
Yep.
area. And then it's also a unique product because there's not a lot of people who do traditional steamed puddings anymore.
That's right, exactly
So,
that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've had our visit for tonight. I want to thank you both very much for joining me.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Joel. It's nice to be here.
Yes, it is. I look forward to my cup of coffee a little later, Barry. Thank you for joining us this week with The Fire Within. We'll see you soon. Good night.